before 1 o'clock this morning, they did locate the body of an adult male. So that brings our total fatality up to 2. It still stands. We had the 7 victims transported, and now we have 2 deceased. Right now, we're working on a recovery effort. We are thinking of all the residents in this area and the family who have lost loved ones or who possibly could have been injured because of this. This was a really tough time for the community, for the residents in this neighborhood, and for the members of the fire department. We do have OEM on scene today. What they're going to do is work on cleaning up the debris in hopes that residents can at some point today, get back into their homes to try to retrieve any of their belongings. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. We want to thank the community leaders and the community at large for coming together to help during this explosion. The outpour from businesses and just about everybody been, just great. We want to thank our county partners that have been here with us, helping us through this. I don't know how to describe it because it's something that I've never, ever witnessed in my lifetime. Looked like everything that could have happened since I've been there has happened. And I'm just asking that the community at large and the city at large come together in prayer for those who are still in the hospital and just pray for healing for this entire community and for the whole entire city of Baltimore. At this time, I'll turn it over to President Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good morning, everybody. We hear a lot about Baltimore and about the negative of Baltimore, but amidst a tragedy like we had here yesterday, you saw the true spirit of Baltimore. You had Baltimoreans rushing to try to save their neighbors from something that you just don't expect to see in a city. You just don't expect to see that, and I want everyone to understand that when you always hear about the negative, or how about Baltimoreans don't care about each other, think about what happened on the street yesterday, and then really set yourself in the reality that we have 2 people that lost their lives, and that's what we should be investing our power and energy. You have people displaced, people whose family members are in the hospital, and you saw an entire city, really an entire region come around those people yesterday, and that's what I'm thankful for, and thankful for Baltimore always showing that Baltimore cares about itself and it takes pride in its community, but most importantly that we love each other, especially in the midst of a tragedy. Thank you.
We'll take some questions. The names, no, we have not quite identified those, but the 7, out of the 7 that were transported, 5 of them are in critical condition, and we're waiting to determine the status of the other 2. It's a pretty much recovery and cleanup effort.
Is everyone spoken for? Is anyone still missing?
We haven't heard any reports of anyone still missing. Right now we're just making sure that the community continues to remain safe, and we're praying for those who are still in the hospital at this time. The deceased from this one, I said it was an adult male. Age is unidentified at this time. To move back in, no, but hopefully we are trying to see if they're able to come back today to retrieve some of their items. There were nearly 30 residents who utilized the temporary shelter and over 200 residents who were affected by this. So we're totally thankful that they are safe, and we hope it remains that way, which it should.
We're here just to help coordinate services, make sure that anyone here is any of their needs, that we're here to help get them to them as soon as we can. So we're just mainly here to coordinate the services to help them out. So. Thank you. I'm sorry, can you say that again, please? Yes. Yes, we want to make sure that every home is structurally safe and that the power can be restored and everything is safe for the residents to return.
Thank you.
You can refer to BGE, and they also issued out a statement. Okay?
Mic check, mic check.
Mic check. Mic check.
Wanda, go ahead, you're muted.
Mic check.
So I want to thank everybody for joining us this week, 338 day, 2,576. And the reason why we played that horrible news was from yesterday. There was a horrible explosion that happened on Monday. It was horrible. Like, I woke up to it like it happened like Monday around 9:30 in the morning. Like, I'm getting ready for work. It was just like horrible. So first of all, my heart goes out to all of the families involved, everybody. But tonight's program is going to be every program is special and unique. But tonight, I'm going to focus around heroes, who I deem as heroes, because we all are in this fight. And I know normally I always highlight things about police brutality, and I will be doing that as well. But I also want the good to be known, that we do have things that happen that a lot of times that people sweep under the rug, and we don't see the good that's happening, especially in Baltimore. I had my first guest, Mr. Jones, Mr. D. Jones. He basically was a part of that. Like, so when I shared the live video on Monday, people started watching my watch party. It was actually from his page. It was horrible, but he jumped into action, and he is a hero, and I have nothing but heroes. All the kings on here are heroes, and even my queen sister in Christ for accountability, her name is Miss Jackson. She is a hero as well. So my first guest, I'm just going to jump right into it, and then I'll talk about what happened to my brother, but I just want to jump into, like, you know, the heroes. And again, my heart goes out to the families, because we learned, you know, when yesterday there was another fatality that we lost another brother. We just heard about the one family, you know, that lost their loved one, which was the lady, and then we heard yesterday there was also a male, and I think he went to Morgan State University. So my heart goes out to everybody, even that was in that neighborhood, and even to our guests that's here to share with tonight. So no further ado, I'm going to bring on Mr. Jones. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
So the floor is all yours, Mr. Jones. You can start.
Make sure you unmute yourself. I think you're still muted.
Okay, you able to hear me now?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah.
First off, I'd like to thank you for inviting me to be able to join your broadcast. And I want to just say thank you to all of the love, the appreciation, the support, the messages, the phone calls that I received in reference to Monday. Just a couple of things. I mean, Monday was probably one of the craziest things I've ever seen in my life. And honestly, something I would not ever want to relive. I'm grateful that, you know, I was able to have a major part in saving, you know, a few individuals' lives. And, you know, I want to definitely send out my condolences to the family of Joseph, and also the young lady that also deceased in that explosion.
Well, thank you so much. And my brother, so could you tell us, like, what happened? Where was you when all this happened? I saw your interview on the news, and I'm like, oh my God, that's my friend from Facebook. But could you tell us, like, what happened? Like, you actually jumped into action, like, oh my God, like, my hero. Can you tell us, like, what happened?
All right, so basically, it was about 9:40, and I literally had just hung up the phone with my father, and he was supposed to come by and see me. So anyway, I went out on the porch. I had some water with me, and I put the water on the table. And literally, I put the water on the table for like no less than 10, 15 seconds, and it was just a loud boom, like it was like a bomb drop. I mean, my whole block shook. The water that I had on the table fell off onto the porch, and I looked over to my right, and I could see a cloud of smoke with debris shoot up in the air at least 50 or 60 feet over top of the houses. So, without even thinking, I took off out my yard, down my alley. Mind you, I didn't have shoes on, so I was in socks. I made the left onto Fairlawn, and I could see that it was going to be pandemonium. The neighbors were running out trying to figure out what it was. By the time I reached the alley, it was crazy. I mean, live wires on the ground, debris, chunks of the house, glass. I mean, it looked like literally a bomb had dropped. So I joined up with some other neighbors that were right there with me, and I guided them across the live wires so that no one was injured. We then made it into the yard of the first house, and we knew that it was people that were in the house. So we started yelling out, "Hey, you know, is anyone in there? Can you holler out for us? Yell out, call out to us." And faintly, I heard someone say, "Hey, I'm right here. Help me, please." And I said, "Keep calling out so we can try to figure out where you're at." And I got closer and closer, and I heard it. And I told everybody, right here. So we started digging by hand, moving center blocks. I mean, debris. I mean, anything you could possibly think of, that's in a home. It was there. And at that time, the Baltimore Police Department was waved down by another neighbor, and they came. One of them jumped right in with us, and we started continuing digging. You know, we could definitely still hear her. She was calling out to us. At that particular time, the first fire department personnel arrived. You know, they jumped right in, and for a split second, they actually stopped us because at that point, gas was still in the area. It was still really loud. You could hear it, you could smell it, you could taste it. And you know, we're standing back and we're like, "Hey, look, we were here. We were already digging before you guys got here." And one of the firefighters gave me this look like, "I know this is what you want to do." And he said, "Come on back over here." So we just all formed an assembly line. We got to digging. At that point, we got to a low part of the debris. We could see her hands. She was sticking her hands up. So we kept going, kept getting everything out of there, and we were able to free the first woman. Remarkably, she was such a fighter. I mean, she was an older woman, but I mean, when I tell you she was strong, she was strong. She didn't even want us to help her out. She wanted to walk down. So with the assistance of one of the neighbors and a firefighter, walked her down the debris, and she literally walked and sat down. She said, "I just want to get away from the house." I mean, amongst the tragedy, it was just a lot of strength in that. Now, with all of that going on, you know, there's neighbors in our ear saying, "Hey, it's other people here." So at that point, you know, I break around, I go down to the basement along with the firefighter, and I say, "Hey, call out, call out." We didn't hear anything. So the firefighter then instructed me, "Look, it's too much gas. You know, you guys helped us a big deal, and we need you guys to back up." So at that point, you know, we backed up, and you know, we let the fire department get to working. And I mean, they were able to free another person within like the next 5 or 10 minutes. A gentleman, he was burnt from head to toe, 3rd-degree burns. And at that point, we started hearing more people call out. And one of them appeared to even be a child. So, I mean, it was just so much going on. It was just so much going on. Like, I can't even describe to you, like, how I felt at that moment. And, like, despite all of that, I had no shoes. You know, everybody was looking at me like, "Man, you crazy," you know, like, but, I mean, I feel like that everybody, when tragedy strikes, they're quick to pull out their phone and, you know, they want to document it. And I mean, I can't say that I understand, but it's like, you know, we have to start being human beings. You know, these are human beings that are trapped under a home and they need help. So, you know, you having your phone out is not going to help. So that's what I thought about. I didn't really care about my own safety. I didn't care about anything. Only thing on my mind at that point was, "Hey, look, I gotta help these people." that was literally it.
Well, I just want to thank you. Them two amazing. Like, you actually really put your life on the line, like anything. Because it was an unsafe situation. You didn't know what you were running into, but yet you took off running just to save a life. So you basically, said, hey, at the end of the day, if I lose my life, it's still worth me trying to save someone else's life. And I just want to thank you. And like you said, a lot of people get comfortable with just pulling out the cell phone with no help. Nothing like that, so I definitely appreciate you. Anybody else want to ask my brother something before we go on to my next guest?
I just want to say you're really an inspiration because that's how humanity has to be, and you really set a good example.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And like in closing, I just want to say once again, like I said in the interview, everyone, was running around calling me a hero, and like, I don't feel like that, but I'm thankful and I'm grateful that you guys hold me to such a high standard. But like I said in the interview, like, I'm not a hero, I'm a human being. And any human being, that's able-bodied should be able to want to help their neighbor or help a person that is in distress. So, I just challenge everyone that, if you're ever in a situation similar to this, that, you try to find some kind of courage in yourself. And even if you think that you can't do too much to help, every little bit helps, because it was literally neighbors out there visiting that were on crutches. I had another one with a cane, and they were right there with me digging through the debris to try to locate this woman. So just please try to focus on being humans, put the phones down, and try to help first. That's literally all I have to say. Once again, thank you for having me on. Thank you for all the outpouring of support, the donations, the gifts that have came in my name that I could give to some of the victims. I'm truly humbled.
And brother, how can we reach you, or how can we help out? Because I know that they're actually taking like more donations. Like a lot, even my brother Ed, Dr. Chad that's on here, he actually was donating waters and things like that. He went into action. I saw him like into action, and a lot of others that have been into action, bringing food down there and things like that. But how can we reach you, and how can we help out in this situation?
You can reach me on Facebook. It's D Jones, DEEJONES. You can also reach me by Instagram. My Instagram is at OG Dean, DEAN. That's one word. So OG Dean. You can check out my pages. I have posted. I've reposted a GoFundMe link. I've also reposted my Cash App. Anything that you send to me donation wise, I actually forwarded to the volunteer group that I'm working with to assist the neighborhood. We were out there today, giving out household supplies, water, food. So if you want to donate food, you can definitely donate. We're located on the parking lot of Applebee's by Ricestown Road Plaza. We're adjacent to the Red Cross triage area, so you're welcome to drop off water, non-perishable foods, underclothes for adults and kids. Also, like I said, water, Gatorade, any kind of toiletries, deodorant, etc. Anything that a person would need in the home, just no clothing. If you prefer to donate cash, you can send it via my Cash App, and I will make sure that I forward it to the proper parties that are involved and make sure that your money goes towards these victims. My Cash App is $OG BAG, BAG 84. If you need that again, feel free to DM me or on Facebook or IG.
Can you repeat that Cash App again, please?
The Cash App is, of course, $ goes in front, OG BAG, BAG 84. It's all one word. So OG BAG 84 is where you can send it. And I will make sure that it goes to like I said, through the proper channels. I'll send you proof. If you got specific things that you would like the money to go towards, I can make sure that happens as well. Because at the end of the day, these are people that have been displaced, have lost loved ones, they've lost their homes, they've lost their clothing, they've lost their vehicles. So any little bit helps. $5, $1, anything that you can give will definitely help.
Thank you, my brother, and again, I thank you, because I actually saw the lady, that she pulled out, like, I saw she still had the, like, debris in her hair. They actually gave her a sheet and wrapped her up. I saw her, and she just looked like, oh my God, so I know she, like, is looking at y'all like an angel, because I think about if you would have stayed there on your porch and just not showing business and went back in the house, or if you would have just ran up there and just was video and tape and exposing and not calling out saying, hey, help, she might have been a fatality. So I just want to thank you again, my brother. Thank you so much. So if you want to stay tuned to this whole show, you can stay in Cuba. If you need to do something else, you can definitely leave. And at the end of this, just to let you know, I'm going to play your news interview clip where you did your interview. It's like a maybe 2 minutes long at that. So I'm definitely playing that at the end. And I just want to thank you again for being a real life hero. Thank you so much. So before I bring up my next, thank you. So as tragic as that was, that same exact day, there was an horrible accident. And my brother, he was like riding, and I'll just let him tell it. But when I looked on his page and I saw that, I was like, oh my God. Because normally when I go and look on his page, he's always sharing good food. Everybody knows he can cook, right? I be getting my little skills from him. I ain't even gonna lie, but he's the real chef. Like, I go in there just to get inspired, like what I'm gonna cook next. Cause he had, like, his stuff look like you going to Moe's seafood. I'm just being real, and y'all know I love food, so I stay on my brother's page looking for food. So this particular day, I'm like, I need to get this, horrible tragedy off my mind, because it's like, it's horrible to just be in your home and then something happens. Like, it just bothers, especially being a pandemic, there's just so much going on. So when I went on my brother's page and I saw what story he was sharing, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. So I just want to thank him, and I want to bring him up, and I want to thank him even before I bring him up, because he jumped into action as well. So I'm going to bring up my brother now, Mr. Robinson. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Yeah. And like, which name did you call out tomorrow?
Yes.
Which name did you call out?
Mic check.
Mic check. I'm talking about the star. Are you on me? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now, yeah.
Yeah, go.
No, you on me. Yeah, you on me? Well, I was coming from the gas station on Cold Spring to Wabash, and we ride down Wabash, and then ahead I seen some flames. If I looked, I realized the car on fire, like in the middle of the street. And so me and my brother, I pulled over, and we hopped out. So we hopped out, I seen somebody else running towards the car. I mean, so at the time I thought he was a passerby himself too, was jumping out. But later on, we come find out he was in another car, a part of the accident, because it's 4 cars, and 1 car, a couple of them gone. And so, like, the car was in flames, like the hood of the car was on fire, and the guy was pulling out, like, the driver, and he was telling us there's a female inside the car. And so we go to the car, like to the driver's side, because the passenger side was done. It was like, it was crushed in. There was fire on the side, like in the hood and side. So we on the other side of the car trying to pull out. But she was like stuck in there under like the dashboard and like, parts of the car just going. And so we had to keep, trying to pull her and push parts of the car. And the fire, like you could hear it cracking, like you hear it loud and loud, and you start to feel the flames, like the heat from it. And so we, and so in my mind, I'm thinking I can't let her burn in front of me in no car. So I'm like, man, we gotta get out of here. So we just, so we keep trying. And so we finally get out and we take it to the side. And probably like a minute later, like the car just went up in total flames as a fire truck and everything's like pulling up. And our wounds, I mean, I'm not gonna get graphic for our family's sake, but I mean, it was bad, man. You had she was hurt, badly hurt, and the guy who was driving, I think his he had like a 7-hour surgery, and then 2 people in the other car, like they was hurt, and the other brother, he was okay, but unfortunately, like the sister didn't make it, You know, like, fortunately she didn't make it. And I was hoping she would pull through, you know, just to get out like that and have a look at you, like, you know, like she had a look in her eyes. And I'm just looking at her and just hoping she, you know, she'll be all right. I was trying to say something to her, trying to soothe her. And then they found out she ain't make it. That kind of hurt. That definitely hurt. And to find out she's my Facebook friend the whole time, you know, I was like, wow. If it's, the family thank me and everything, but look, for getting her out, you know what I mean, like the car was on fire, but I wish she would have made it, man. That was tough, like, you know, like getting her out, but then, man. You know what I mean, just keep saying her, you know. So it's a little tough.
Well, I just want to thank you. Like, I know it's horrific, and I know you were having problems with sleeping at night, but definitely the fact that you went into action. You get what I'm saying? And then you even went further, because I seen where you were sharing where people could donate and actually donate to her family. Do you still have that information available so that we can help out?
Yes, I had shared like the GoFundMe link. For my family. She got a twin sister and everything. Like, she got twin sisters, like a whole bunch of, like she got a big family. And yeah, I got the link on my page, you know. But the story wasn't covered though. Like, nobody contacted the family. You know, there's no kind of news coverage on it because this happened the night before the explosion happened. It was like about 12 something at night. About 12:30 and 1. And so it was like no coverage. They had saying nothing about locating the other car. The family, yeah, like no talk to the family. I just talked to the family and like my brother, like who all, like Michael Brown, like he was there. And yeah, the family didn't hear nothing yet. Like, as far as like a up going on or hospital or something.
So silly, and I just thank you, like I said, for being, that's something horrific, and it's something you'll never forget, because I remember seeing an accident many years ago. Like, I just had bought a Q45, and like, I'm joking about it, because I'm like, telling my son at the time, my older son, he was little, he was like maybe 5 years old. I'm like, son, if you hear my alarm go off, let me know, because I'm thinking somebody was trying to steal it. But the first day I did it, it was a drunk driver that hit my car. But when I went out there and I saw his car literally catch on fire, my neighbor pulled him out. I will never forget that scene. Like, it still sticks to me to this day. So, like, if there's anything that we can do, and I thank you for sharing, if there's anything we can do to help you and maybe help your family out, or get in contact with your family.
Well, yesterday, contact family, like I talked to them on Facebook, like, back and forth, like different family members. And I'm gonna share that link again on my page, so like you find my posts, find it like among the posts on my page. I'm gonna share that with this interview. And I'm gonna make my IG page too on Sir Princess Watson. Like helping out with the funeral, like much of y'all can out there, or whatever y'all can get,
Okay.
And I'm sure they did. And I hear that family talk about it though. It's like, she's a nice person, like she's a good person. And I actually, the thing about it, and I actually felt that. When like we was pulling her out and we got on the side, and I was holding her hand, looking at her, I actually felt it. Like I felt like it's weird, like a good energy, and it makes sense. I actually felt it. And then to hear more about it, I was like, so I sent my daughters to the family, it's a tough situation, especially like, somebody young like that and so sudden.
Thank you, my brother, and I definitely appreciate you. Anybody on the panel want to ask my brother any questions or any comments?
I just had a comment. I just wanted to say, like, for real, y'all both are major heroes. And I've been in situations like this where, I've been helping people with accidents and stuff like that. Make sure that you take care of yourself, after going through this, this is also traumatic for you. So make sure that you, take some time, reflect on yourself, take care of yourself, both of you. It's one thing when you're dealing with all the adrenaline and everything when everything is happening, but then afterwards when it's all sinking in, make sure you take care of yourself, because that's the most important thing.
That's how it is too. Like after everything happened, it's like stuff coming to me now that I didn't realize at the moment. Certain things. Like it's hard to sleep.
Right.
Definitely hard to sleep.
Right. Make sure you take care of yourself and talk to somebody if you need to.
Yeah.
Well,
I wanted to say two things. First, salute to you, because like I the way you described it, like I felt like as if I was there, because like it's one of them things where you see something and you just kind of like you don't think, and I felt that energy from you. And I just also wanted to add that I actually have a friend that is related to the young lady. I just know her as Key. And I also have a friend that was in that area as well, and was telling me about that situation. And I mean, I heard it was really tragic. So, salute to you. And then also, like the other brother said, definitely don't be afraid to talk to someone, because I'm not gonna hold you. Like I'm going to talk to somebody tomorrow, because like you don't really start to feel it until days after, and you start to process it. So salute to you. It's good to talk to somebody else, that's a stand-up guy. And I appreciate
you. Thanks, bro. Yeah, I'm gonna do that myself too, talk to somebody, because like you said, like as the days go on, it seems like it's hitting different. Yeah, it's starting to feel different.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely is.
You definitely talk to somebody, because if you keep it in, it will take over. It definitely continue you. Like, you suffer from this, for real. Like, you definitely, and you can call me at any time, and if I could do a resource or put you in connection with somebody, I definitely will. So, just thank you so much. Thank you, my brother.
But yeah, one thing I want to say though, why, like the whole thing's going on, I'm just amazed how a lot of people really roll by us. Like, really roll by us, they can't with the phone. Like, man, because I was trying to talk on the phone to the 911 call, and and trying to help, pull her out, and they asked the questions, and I dropped the phone, and people really was riding by, and they would slow down and look. I was like, man. I mean, I guess the fires probably scared a lot of people, because the car's already on fire, and so I guess that might have scared a lot of people. But I don't know. I was like, man, nobody ain't stopped. Man, that's crazy, man.
Well, you did it. That was great.
Yeah. People. A lot of times, people get scared in situations like that, and honestly, they really kind of think about themselves. And I mean, it's nothing wrong with, you not want to walk in, you don't want to walk into unnecessary danger, but that honestly, it separates. I mean, we talking about men, you know what I mean? And the fact of the matter is that the job of a man is to protect. And the fact that you jump head first in there, not knowing that woman or that brother, is, it just shows that, it separates the boys from the men.
That's right.
And, like I said, I commend you, because, like I said, you definitely didn't have to stop. You could have just called 911. That would have been doing your due diligence by just calling somebody. You know what I mean? But you jumped in there putting your life, at harm, because, I mean, if that car would have blew, you could have been caught up in there too. So salute to you. That's what men do. Men stand up in the face of adversity.
I mean, after you pulled out the car, I'm gonna say like a minute went by. It was a full minute, probably. I'm gonna say a minute and some seconds, probably a minute. And the car actually went up in flame, like the total car went up in flame back there. And I looked, I was like, whoa. I mean, 'cause it was like right after we got out, I was like, man. I didn't even realize, it was, I guess, like that. I mean, once I seen the video that somebody recorded, when I seen the video, I didn't realize, I was like, I didn't realize like that. I mean, man.
You guys are so amazing. That's all I can say. Like, literally, you think about a morning starting off with, you know, houses blowing up and things like that. And my brother, Dean, went present, and then you, my brother, that night. The same day, that night. But the news is busy. This is saying how the media was. They so busy just worrying about, you know, the explosion and whatnot. And they couldn't even come to the story of a dear queen that was loved by many people. Seeing how on the timeline, I keep seeing people say, "Blessed peace," they don't understand this horrible. Like, so I just want to, like I said, thank you. I was going to bring my sister up, but I feel compelled before I bring my sister Queen up, Miss Jackson. I'm going to bring Dr. Ted up because he can answer to this because when we talk about fires, I remember my brother actually saved a woman's life and actually was able to pull her out of the fire, and had it not been for him, he did so many other heroic acts. So I'm going to bring my brother Ted on quickly, and then I can wrap it up with my sister about her brother, and I'll go into my brother, and we can just definitely close out. But I'm going to just switch up, you guys don't mind really quick. I'm going to bring my brother, Dr. Ted. Take it over to Dr. Sutton, all of a sudden, like.
Thank you. I'm telling you, I'm just amazed with this show. That's why I was just listening. You ain't even saying a word. I mean, I'm telling you, I felt how I know that feeling, you know, of being there. And with my situation, there was so many who standing around, and not one person helped me when I was trying to help this family. And so, for my situation, it was a little bit different. At the time, nobody was helping me, but I realized that it wasn't for me to be a watcher. It wasn't. I was tired of. I'm not going to be a watcher. And with my situation, you know, saying I was actually going a direction to work that I hadn't even gone before. Somebody just told me that the day before that, and got on the Middle Street, right when you cross over 83. And the house right there, you know, where the corner is, when you cross over 83, I saw fire shooting out the doorway, and I heard a lady, she was yelling, you know, in there for help, and the entire hallway was engulfed in fire. And I ended up taking a baseball bat, and I actually broke the window, and I climbed in, and I started, you know, saving lives at that point with the grandmother, and then one of the mothers, she fell from the second floor. She hit her head first, and she was paralyzed from that. And I had to carry her lifeless body to the side, and then the father, or one of the fathers, who fell and tripped, and he broke his ankle, and I had to carry him. And then I was walking, I was in the house really looking for people to try to save. And just like I said, it was fire going up the side of the wall and over the ceiling and down the other side of the wall. And believe me, all of the stuff that I had been in the streets when I was rebelling and when I wanted to be crazy Ted and everything else, it didn't prepare me for this type of sight. And but the one that really, I say, changed my life, well, I ended up, when I helped somebody else outside, I saw something coming through the smoke from the top floor. And you know, that's those real high row houses. And it was a little boy with little tiny, it looked like his hair was in kind of like cornrows and little braids. He was coming, somebody had threw him out the window. And I actually caught him, and we both fell some glass. And then I started giving him mouth to mouth. And check it out, I just learned how to do mouth to mouth, how to do CPR with a baby. Really, 3 days before this. So I didn't even know about using your two fingers and and everything about so you won't break your ribs and I started doing CPR and I started praying. You're supposed to count in between the compressions, you know what I'm saying? But I wasn't counting. I started praying, so I was blowing his mouth. as I was doing the compression, I was just praying because I was saying that, I didn't want this child to die. And it was really something. And the praying definitely worked out because he started coughing. He came out, he started breathing after I did the CPR on him. And then after I brought him to the side, what I witnessed from that point was really what changed my life. I mean, I'm saying it changed my life. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people, know some of my story. Before I was known as Dr. Ted, I was known as Crazy Ted. And so a lot of people knew my godfather, Little Melvin Williams, and knew that I was out there in the streets, and everything. But this sight that I saw was this little girl that came jumping out of the window with nothing and on the top floor, from the top floor. And she was just grabbing for anything that she could grab for. And it was nothing to grab. And when I saw her do this, it made me realize that this was true courage. You know what I'm saying? Because prior to that, I thought being hard was intimidating people, being tough, or, like being 20 deep and you looking at somebody, what you looking at? And this just really changed my life. I saw her coming through and I tried to grab for her and she fell back by the house and she was literally underneath the bottom of the window, at the bottom of where the house is. And the fire was shooting out of the house and it was literally like cooking her. And so I reached for her and then I flinched because it was just so much heat and I got angry at myself. I'm like, I can't believe, you know what I'm saying? You're supposed to be so hard, you're so tough, this Crazy Ted. He was like, the next time you grab for, I don't care how bad the heat is, you get her. And I grabbed for and I pulled her out. And when I picked her up, her skin started coming off into my hand like wet toilet paper, something that I'd never seen before. And I was praying, taking her to the ambulance had just pulled up, and I took her and I was just praying because I just was thinking about this beautiful little girl that her skin was so burned, and it's so wild, about that because I actually carry her picture around with me in my wallet everywhere I go. You know what I'm saying? And but they help, and I told her. But you know the story ended up having a good ending because actually, that's a picture. The girl I carried in my wallet, her and her little brother. You know what I'm saying? I carry, the picture with me. But she ended up finding me on Facebook, and she said, "Are you the man that saved my life?" That's all she said, just that one statement. And I couldn't believe it. I called her and I said, "Sweetie, you gotta tell me what happened to you." And she said, "I was in a burn unit for 18 months. She said my face was burned, my hands were burned, and that's how I actually got burned by picking her up. My hand was burned. They had to get me because she was on fire. She said my face was burned, my hand was burned. She said about 82% of my body was burned. And she said my hands were burned so bad they had to amputate both of my hands. And she said, but I'm calling you today to let you know that the young man that you caught from the 3rd floor and gave him mouth to mouth, and he started breathing again. He just graduated from Mervo High School. And she said, and I also want to share with you that I'm graduating from Towson State University with a degree in journalism. And I just put my hands up and I said, hold on, I thought you said you don't have no hands. She said, I don't. She said, I learned how to write with my 2 hands and I like nugs. And I started learning how to write. And she said, and I'm calling you today to just thank you. And I stopped her. I said, no, boo, I can't let you thank me. And she said, well, why not? And I said, because I got to thank you. And she said, what would you be thanking me for? And she said, because I told her, because sweetie, that day you proved to me that one man with God could make a difference. Mm-hmm. And she changed my life, so I turned from that point of being Crazy Ted that was in the streets, ended up changing my entire life. Now I'm Dr. T, and the whole nine, and I could not believe. And they ended up, and when she got her degree, they heard about it, they did a story on us, and they ended up having me come to Towson State University, and when they called her name, they had me, and I think you saw some of the video, they had me to come from behind the curtain, and they ended up allowing me to share the testimony of how it connected. And they ended up allowing me to call her name to give her degree. And I think that was one of the finest moments, you know, of my life. So when I hit a brother that didn't care about shoes, you know what I'm saying? Because to the average person, that would sound a little crazy. But the brother didn't care about shoes. You know what I'm saying? And when you talk about a brother that's looking at fire, and I respect fire. Believe me, I know how fire is. And he ended up going in this car to save somebody that he don't know. You know what I'm saying? That's the difference of changing, you know what I'm saying? Because we've proven that we can change lives. And if you're in the right place at the right time with the right actions, you can change the trajectory of what was going to happen. Meaning that person, when that girl called me, she said, "You saved my life. If it had not been for your actions," and I realized it was about 65 people out there standing, and not one of them was doing anything. And instead of it being 66 people, I was the one that God put in me to go in, because I'm, to be honest with you, if I didn't want to do it was something that my body was compelled to do. I mean, I couldn't stop myself. Even when I was in the house and it was engulfed in fire, I could not stop myself. And so I shared that. It ended up changing my life. And to be honest with you, I ended up changing it so that I could save others' lives. Man, you know, I go around the world helping young men to get out of gangs and changing, you know, different lives, you know, all that. In fact, I shared with you just something, before I close, I shared with you that my daughter's teacher, she told me she was reading about it. And she told my daughter, she said, "You know what?" She said, "I think I was reading about your father." She said, did he say some people in the house fire? She said, "Yes, man." She said, "Did he stop a carjacker from carjacking a lady on Northern Parkway at Liberty Road?" And she said, "The man had a 357. She said, "Yes, man." She said, "Did he stop some muggers from mugging some people? You know, in Walbridge Junction?" She said, "Yes, man." She said, does he work with gang members and different things that day?" She said, "Yes, man." She said, "Is your father a policeman? Or is he a fireman?" And she said, "No, man." She said, "He's just a man." And when she said that statement, that meant everything to me, because society has lowered the standard of what men should be so low that when you see a real man, he looks like a Superman. But really, he's not a Superman. He's just a man being a man, what a man should be. And, you know, so I look at it like that. And so to say that, when I hear these brothers, I just want to listen. You know what I'm saying? Because I see what God can take and what he can do, you know what I'm saying, with something that make the impossible possible.
Wow, brother, that was deep. That was deep. I feel like y'all got another church serving y'all for free. Y'all got a church service for free, like really. Like, do anybody else want to ask my brother Ted anything? And Ted, how can we support you? How can we find you as well?
Well, you can find me on IG as Dr. Ted Sutton. IG as Dr. Ted Sutton. I'm also on Twitter as Dr. Ted Sutton. And I'm on Facebook as Edward Sutton. Or you can look up Ted, or you can look up Dr. Ted Sutton, and I still should come up. And also, you know, I do the helping the, you know, the youth and different things, the mentoring. I give out food, you know what I'm saying, the clothes up at the Park Heights every Tuesday. In fact, when that happened with the explosion, I'm the founder of Men Against Murder. I put a call out for my men, and we went and even bought tables at Home Depot, and we set up and helped put up some for the Red Cross. You know, went out and brought waters, and I had my men come in bringing food and water. And I mean, it was really just something. And also, you know, Cash App is It's $ Dr. Ted Sutton. You know, it's $ Dr. Ted Sutton. You know, and to be honest with you, you know, I don't care if it's $1 or whatever, because normally I have a book that I wrote called Temporarily Insane, and another one called From Pain to Power. So I'm not grant funded at all. So what I do is all of my youth programs and everything, when I go and speak somewhere, if somebody wants to purchase a book, they can do that, and that goes all to everything that I'm doing now. Even working on a multi-purpose center in the 2700 block of Emerson Avenue right now. We're going to be doing some things there. So, and I'm doing that with no grant money or anything. It's just out of our own. And so, sister, you know, what you've been doing, I've always just been encouraged by the work that you do. What you do in this show tonight has just been very special, you know, and unique after, you know, and just hearing these testimonies have just even encouraged me, you know, even more. And also my website is SuttonHouseVision.com. It's SuttonHouseVision.com.
Well, thank you, my brother. And I also know that you guys take questions from the family. If they want to ask you something, I just want to thank you. This is always willing to ask you. Because even with all the tragic things that happened on Monday, I saw you going down there, giving out waters and things of that nature. I just want to thank you. Even when my car tires were getting slashed.
That's right.
Like, stepped up, you started coming out like hanging on the corner of West Wales every week with me and everything, and was even volunteering to lay low on my block. So,
you're right. And that was crazy because I don't even think I really knew you well. Your car, so just in case, so I could catch somebody trying to vandalize your car if they were trying to. So I tell you about that. You know, this is the epitome of encouraging others. And one of the things that I tell my youth is your success starts when your comfort zone ends. And for me, you know, saying we have comfort zone to do what we're doing.
Anybody want to ask him something before I bring my sister Queen in?
Yeah, I think the experiences that the three men who spoke are like exemplary and set a wonderful example. But I do want to say that it's not just what a man does, because there are a lot of women who are courageous and strong. Most of the struggle in the United States against police brutality is led by women. We have people like Harriet Tubman that were great fighters. So I think that when we talk about that's what a man does, we also have to keep in mind that's what good women do too, many of them.
Oh yeah. But one of the problems is that unfortunately some of our women have had to be stronger than what they should have to.
Oh, absolutely.
For some of the reasons that, you know, because some of our men are not really in the place that really we should be, you know, saying overall as a whole. So I 100% agree with you, not to take anything from our queens.
Yes, and I think,
That's
and just to back Dr. Ted up, like he just pointed out, like a lot of men just definitely need to step up, because me and him had a conversation earlier where you see.
Because I can tell you with my situation on Monday.
I'm sorry. Oh no, so I was saying, me and Dr. Ted had a conversation earlier, and we were talking about, like, where you'll see a man and a woman in a car, and you'll see the sister get out and pump her own gas while the brother's sitting there looking at her. Like, come on,
yeah, I know.
I think that's what.
Yeah, that bothers me. That's one of my.
So anybody else got any questions they want to ask before I move on to my sister Queen?
Listen, I went through a situation like that. I just wanted to say, go ahead.
I just wanted to add that, like how you saying the moment changes, like that's how I feel was what's happening. You know what I mean? My thought process, like things I'm thinking about, you know, learning or doing, and I can see how that affects me, because like right before this happened, I actually was looking at some videos about like a trauma kit. And then when that happened that very next day, and I was looking down and all that, I was thinking like, man, I only got all the skills. Like, I felt terrible because I didn't have more skills, to be honest with you. I felt terrible. Like, that actually got me just in the whole, like, another thought process, like learning certain things and being more prepared. Yeah.
Right.
Well, again, I want to thank my hero, my king hero, and just like Uncle Ben just said about the Harriet Tubmans in the world, we definitely have her on the right here in Penn. I call her
All right.
because she has been like fighting for legislation. She like I met her like we met like I met so many people, but I met her at an event. And when I heard her testify about her brother being murdered in Jamaica, it reminded me of how I fight. It just took me to like my own person's face about how I fight for my own brother. But this sister has a story to tell you. Like I said, I call her Miss Action Jackson. So I'm no further ado. I'm gonna bring my sister Warrior Queen, my hero up. Mic check.
Mic check.
Hi everyone.
Mic check.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me just start by giving my condolence to all the families affected, and I applaud the selfless act of the men who spoke previously, because it's really an act that goes beyond heroism when you put yourself at risk. But being described as a hero is what I consider to be a part of my paradox of death. Because I started out solely wanting justice for my brother. So in losing my brother, I became a hero, which in and of itself is a contradiction, because my brother's passing has caused, my family grief, suffering. So when I started out, justice really looked different for me. Justice meant that the officer who violated my brother's right to life would be incarcerated. Over the years, because there's been an unresponsive system, I've had to pivot and change what justice then looks like. So justice for me now revolves around, meeting sisters like Tawanda, realizing that I'm not standing alone or in isolation, and occasions such as this when we can celebrate each other as human beings, and the fact that the work that we do stands outside of ourselves and outside of our unique circumstances. So let me just say, Tawanda, it takes a special commitment to persevere like you've done. And in instances where you've undergone numerous violations, dissonance, and a lack of response, many people would have stopped by now, because we are a very reward-based society. And I know as a sister, I would have loved for that officer to be found guilty and the necessary actions be taken by the state. And so for many, they would have stopped. They would not have reached 300 or however amount of days that you've gone. So I salute you. I've learned a lot from you, and you're also a source of encouragement. But I'd like to start by saying a broken sister speaks so that others never forget, because January 20th, 2014 changed my life forever. Awoken by the sound of my alarm to an ominous shout of Nakia, I ran to where I left him at approximately 6:45 a.m. that morning. He was not in sight. On the floor, I saw his slippers, I saw the chicken in the bucket that he was about to batter, and some left in the deep fryer. When I saw the blood drag mark on the floor, it dawned on me that something had happened that was not usual. In calling his name, I didn't hear him. When I went to the front, I saw a frantic crowd expressing a range of emotions to me. Somewhere in that, I heard he was at the hospital. I made my way there. Doctors worked earnestly to save him. At approximately 4:10 p.m., my brother was pronounced dead. Now, when I looked at that situation, I looked at the fact that I lost a brother, but if I did nothing, I would lose probably in my own life and maybe other persons, other loved ones' life, because in the instance where my brother's life was scuffed out, there was no duty to care, there was no due process, there was no commitment to serving and protecting, because at that point my brother was in an apron, he was in his place of work, there was nothing unusual about that day of operation. And so it is a situation that allowed me, again in my paradox, to learn to kind of center myself and to understand that my life was being led by a purpose that is greater than who I thought I was or who I thought I should be. And it's important also for families and those not yet affected and those who probably will never be affected to understand that families do not take the stance that they take because they're anti-state, but what they're anti is the misuse of power, the misuse of platforms, and the brutality that is associated with it, especially as it relates to a certain marginalized group. So when I see Tawanda fighting, families are the front line, and so it is our duty to fight because our neighbor might not know the magnitude of our loss. They will never be able to quantify the fact that my brother was an excellent swimmer, or that my brother had stocks, or that my brother was very strategic in his ambitions, or that my brother insisted that my nephew went to a particular preschool because he felt as though through his research that would give him the start that he needed to become the young man that my brother was positioning him to become. So as I look at, a lot of times when I speak, I am asked, so what are you doing here? Well, the fact is, I have a stake in the fight in America too. I have generations of Americans. I have nephews who are Americans. I have a baby who's an American. And so I am equally invested in this struggle as anyone else who thinks that my thick Jamaican accent makes me far removed from the plight or whatever is happening here. And so as it is an election year, our vote becomes our voice. And I understand that as we weigh issues and we look at things, we say, none of the two, or it's the lesser of two evils, but you have to exercise your franchise. You have to turn up to the polls. You have to make sure that your issues are reflected in decisions. And if it is that police brutality is one of those issues, then whoever you select as your leader ought to be someone that represents those salient beliefs and values. So I'm thankful for this opportunity because it's always another opportunity to share that I am Nakia Jackson. You are Nakia Jackson. There is no difference between what the outcome will be when there are indiscretions or when there are infractions or when due process is not allowed to prevail.
Yes, I love how you broke that down, sis. I just love your fight, your strength, and just like you haven't given up, and I don't think that will ever happen. So I just commend you like on every level, like, because at the end of the day, we are our brothers' keepers. Like, when they don't realize when they remove something from our life so near and dear, they don't know what type of hell that they would upon themselves. They don't know how it pushes a sister to fight till she's like, I never knew I could fight like this. Like, I used to be the quiet one in the back of the room. I used to be the one telling my students, don't look at the parents. I would get nervous when I would see the parents. Me and the students would go out their nerves. I'm like, let's look at the spiral in the back of the classroom, all focusing on that. And they're focusing, I'm focusing, because I don't want to talk in front of the crowd. Now they get redundant on talking in front of the crowd, period. So it just changes your life forever. So I just like love you, sis. Like, and I just want just say just thank you so much for fighting like that. Can you say your brother's name one more time so we can all
It's Nakia Jackson. And he not only mattered to me, but he mattered to my family, he mattered to my community. My brother was everything that was right about the inner city, and a selfish police officer came and scuffed his life out as he operated a small restaurant. There is nothing or no crime that is more egregious than when my brother was murdered by Officer Leighton Rose.
Was the officer ever charged, Queen?
So I'm happy that you asked that question, because for the first time in the history of Jamaica, an officer was charged with such immediacy, where the evidence pointed to the officer, there were witnesses, there were like everything. It was described as a well-baked cake. And we know what a well-baked cake looks like and tastes like. But then I later learned, after being forced to preserve a crime scene, because I know the history of police officers in Jamaica, they tamper with crime scenes, they remove bodies, and they become judge, jurors, and executioners. And so when we went to court, I also learned that even the judicial system was a farce, a fantastic campaign slogan, because justice never existed. I often use, the analogy to say I would have preferred for my brother to be murdered by an ordinary citizen, which would still be painful, but at least state resources would have been used to support us in the prosecution of the guilty person or of the charged person. But in our instance, it was an officer, and those state resources were used against us, but never in support of us in ensuring that our matter was successfully brought before the court. So the matter was drawn out because there is a delay tactics, which recently even our opposition security minister spoke about it. He said the longer a case took to go before the court was the less likelihood that there would be a successful prosecution. So even the defense and the state is fully aware of that, and so they look to leverage witness fatigue. They hope that families will no longer see the value of their loved one and give up. They hope that you will have children, like in my case, or life will take you in another direction, and you will no longer pursue the matter in a way that is fair to my brother who had lost. So when we went to court, we were subjected to another layer of state terrorism. We were harassed for every moment that we were supposed to go to the court. The community was terrorized by mass police officers, and we then became enemies of the state in a sad and unfair way, because we were a family that really supported the process, and we genuinely hope that there was a commitment, or there would be a commitment, to really let us have our day in court. We're a 12-man jury, or whatever structure was in place would really deliver justice. But instead, that never happened. Court dates were changed. Courtrooms, we weren't aware of courtrooms. They had planned secret postmortems for my brother. And with all of that, we still persevered. And when they realized that now the court was going into 3 years of adjournment, they dismissed the matter on the basis that one witness did not show up who had expressed fear, and we had a right to the pertinent persons to say, can a court that states through press releases that it is retrofitted with video evidencing, can that be used by the family? It was never made available to us. And it is also for those reasons that I refuse to give up, because there is something about the system that tells itself that police officers will get away with murder with impunity, and it almost seems as if it is entrenched. That kind of murderous act is a part of how they work, because had that not been the case, then there would have been a genuine attempt by the state where resources would have been made available to support the rule of law, but that never happened.
And I just wanna let you know that not only happens in Jamaica, it's worldwide. It's happening right here in Baltimore City. So all the corruption that you spoke upon, it's happening right here. It's not even just a Baltimore thing, a Jamaica thing. Unfortunately, it's a worldwide thing. And that's why I think this platform is very needed to let people know that these are not isolated incidents by far. It's systemically happening and it's happening all around the globe and it needs to stop. And I don't know, do you guys have like an office of bill of rights where you guys live at? In Jamaica, do they have an office of bill of rights?
So Jamaica is really behind in terms of, and so most of the things that I have learned in terms of this kind of advocacy and the things that we can push for, I've learned through the activism of persons in America. I know what Jamaica has that the US does not have is now an independent body, and I'm going to use quotation marks, that investigate police officers. But this independent body is also dependent on government support. And so what will happen? At some point, those support will be withheld to ensure that there is a lack of efficiency or to ensure that there are structural barriers. So as it relates to a Bill of Rights, I have the last thing I heard in terms of any improvement was that there should have been an improvement in the Police Services Act. That has not been passed, but what I know our government is good at is platitudes. So a lot of times they say things because maybe there's some kind of global or international attention, and it helps them in terms of their international profile. But as soon as that attention wanes, then it is business as usual. Jamaica, on average, kills 400 and something, anywhere from 400 and something citizens at its peak to 200 and something citizens annually in a population of 2.8 million people. And I saw someone do a comparative calculation between the US and Jamaica, where the US is almost 100 times Jamaica's population, to say if that same figure was transposed to the US, it would mean that it's 55,000 or 500, like a significant amount being murdered every year. But for me, one murder is still too many, because the pain I've had to carry around and to be able to navigate this new normal, the average person is incapable of even existing with any degree of normalcy. And that's what I think the leaders and persons that prevent justice from ever being administered needs to get. We need to look at how police officers are trained. When you're trained where you get more hours of shooting practice than soft skills and de-escalation training, then how will that manifest? It will manifest itself in persons being shot. It will manifest itself in state murders. So we have to go back into the core. Another correlation I saw was that a lot of the forces that are murderous, with these high murder rates, there is some kind of cooperation between them globally. There is sometimes some shared training skills. And so countries such as Norway that does not have this pandemic, when I spoke to someone in Norway, they said that they've made recommendations to these countries. They presented books, facts, things just to show why their force works different and why there is high confidence among people in the force. But those policies or those best practices are not adopted because it doesn't serve the interest and the reason why law enforcement was established in the first place. It was established as a very oppressive and forceful entity. So we have to look back into those inherent problems and make the adjustments accordingly, especially if we're thinking about a 21st century evolving country that is agile and that is empathetic and care about its people on a whole.
You definitely said it. And to me, when you look at the whole history of policing, they're just living up to their origin. You know, like a cook is designed to cook food, a servant serves, you know what I mean? A driver drives. And if you think about them, they were slave catchers. You get what I'm saying? And they still had their mentality first because they don't even see us as humans. They see us, you know, as one folk of a human. It's just a smoke. So, yeah, so just definitely keep doing the work. Anybody here want to ask my sister any questions? Or any comments?
Ms. Jackson, are you're still in Jamaica?
No, I'm not.
So you're involved with the struggle against police brutality in the United States now?
I'm definitely an ally.
Oh, well, good to have you. Good to have you.
Global ally. I'm a global ally.
Very good to have you, and most sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
And if I may, I just want to say that it's such a blessing to just even be on this show with you, because when I look at you and Sister Tawanda, it's something that I used to say about myself, and I say when people look at me, what you really see is struggle wrapped in strength. So you guys, you know, so both of y'all are queens that don't really look like what you've been through, you know, and I think that is just such a blessing that we don't allow this world to steal our joy and and even though it turns us into, you know, definitely freedom fighters, because we now stand stronger for justice, you know, but it's not even for ourselves, you know, and so that some other people that come after us won't have to go through what we're going through. And so it is just such a blessing, you know. But I think I can put that statement on both of you that you struggle wrapped in strength.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else have any comments or questions for the queen?
I'm just gonna say thank you. I mean, because honestly, I feel like that. Being a black man, you know, in America, honestly, is a thing that people don't realize. It can be a hard thing sometimes. Stand up women, because we all know that a man is only as good as his support system. And your support system comes from a strong black woman, like, you know, like we're watching right now. So I just want to say thank you, you know, for, you know, standing on the front line and you know, defending us to the end. We definitely appreciate that.
Oh, thank you.
Anybody else? Well, my queen, how can you reach and support your campaign for accountability?
So thus far, it's really been a one-man band, and because I've had no prior template, because Jamaica doesn't even have this this level of ownership by families, there is not an organized structure or body present through which I work, but I just try to keep the fight alive through association with organizations such as Amnesty International, which also includes Amnesty USA, the Caribbean, etc. In Jamaica, there's also Jamaicans for Justice. So those are the organized bodies. I'm on Facebook. I will share certain things. I'm a work in progress as it relates to the level of advocacy that I do. So, you know, I'm just growing in the role, and I'm also looking to draw strength from, you know, other sisters and other family members that have been in the struggle and that have more established and robust structures in place. So there's no formal organization.
I definitely feel you on that one, my queen. Definitely, but I just want to, like I said, like my brother did, I just want to salute you for everything you're doing. And it was a reason why I brought my kings on here, the heroes that, you know, I highlighted tonight. You are here, you are my hero. But I did this because I wanted to show the world that if you see anything going on that's not right, it is your due diligence. You actually step in and do something, even if it is to make a phone call. So I wish that on July 18, 2013, when my brother Tyrone West was murdered, but there was a lot of people trying to save my brother's life, but Officer Killer Ruiz and Killer Chapman kept threatening the crowd, if you come, the same effing thing is going to happen, you can get the F back now. And they did everything they could, but my brother was beat to death in broad daylight, like literally pulled out my Mercedes-Benz by his dreadlocks, he had long, beautiful dreadlocks, pulled out, pepper spray, tased, beat worse than any animal. Like, I don't know any man alive that can survive that brutal beating. But the horrible part is that when we started West Ramsey, literally on July 18th, 2013, because we knew it was our duty, that was our loved one. And I'll be honest, I kind of wish that it was like street girls. Because I know some positive show, I'm not trying to take it in a negative direction, but y'all know I'm going to keep it real. I kind of almost wish it wasn't Killer Cops, because then maybe I would have probably been doing something stupid. There's no way I'm gonna let these killers just like walk around, you do something, murder my brother? Oh no, And I'm not even talking tough, but the fact that the killer cops and you know who they are, know what they did, and nothing happens, nothing. They get to come around, torment you, they get to come cut our tires up, they get to do all type of stuff. And the crazy part is the violent offenders, the first two, Chapman and Officer Killer Ruiz, was back in the spotlight. They stay in the spotlight on a negative way because everywhere they are, you find either people being brutalized or dead bodies. That's just that clear. You know, they're the first two that when an unmarked car that pulled my brother over for no reason, and my brother was trying to be a hero tonight because like these brothers, they remind me so much of my brother. He bought my car because he didn't want to see a young lady stranded. She called, he didn't even know this lady. He barely knew her, like he was only familiar with her in a matter of like 2 weeks. And he asked me could he borrow my vehicle because he didn't want her like trying to get a ride nowhere. You get what I'm saying? For something bad to happen to her. And in turn, he got killed by repeat violent offenders. And then when the rest of the crew, the killers came along, they didn't try to help my brother. They helped kill him. It was a sport to them. And then they let a 320-pound killer, David Lewis from Morgan State University, come set on one unarmed dead man that was gasping for his life, that was beat over half hour. So we know how George Floyd was murdered. He had the foot in his neck for 8 minutes, 46 seconds. It was way worse than my brother. And I had to compare victims. I don't want to seem cheesy or corny because a victim is a victim no matter how they die. They're still a victim. Even with the homicides in my city that we see over and over again with no accountability whatsoever. And it's sad in certain parts of the way. Just like I even looked at that incident that happened on Monday, like, and where it happened at. Stuff like that, to me, they keep up. Like the property, make sure all the gas and everything was doing good in the rolling park. But yet you left something horrendous. I know it can happen anywhere. Like I'm not saying that that's what happened there on Monday could happen in any block or neighborhood, but it's just the way my people are mistreated and the response that comes after something horrific happens. You know, it shouldn't just be my brothers that are on here putting their life on line. Where are the leaders at? Where are the politicians? We only see them come around when they want to advertise that they want to be the man. I believe like you said, believe in voting and all that because I feel like when our forefathers were murdered and we couldn't vote, had they not been for them, we probably still be riding on the back of the bus. we probably wouldn't have any type of rights. We barely got rights now with things that's going on. So I believe in voting. I believe in changing things, but more importantly, I'm ready to knock this whole damn system down and build it back up. We need real change, right? But more importantly, we need to keep doing the things that we're doing to sustain ourselves, live and love, and be humans like my brother. He was doing his course drinking water. You get what I'm saying? And he heard something that caused him. My other brother, he was going to the gas station and he felt compelled to pull his sister out of the car to help her to hold her hand. Just like when my brother died, a nurse was holding his hand. You know, and I felt secure, like, at least my brother didn't die alone. When Ted saved that lady, and the family, it was a whole family, because I heard him talking about other babies, jumping out, horrific things, like, y'all did that, y'all gotta change the life, so I just wanna let y'all know that those acts that y'all are doing, the evil system that you fight and set that example in Jamaica, it's not going to affect, guess what, you're teaching people how to fight. So they're looking at you and they're like, oh my God, if this sister can do it, I can do it. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So each one teaches. My first one tell you, we're not alone in this. It may be no justice, no accountability, but it's just us pulling together to lift each other up and to keep on pushing and pushing and pushing. And that's what I love about every last person here. I love you guys, and we will win. Like, definitely.
That's right.
We're doing it's hard, but at the end of the day, we will win. Because you think about you change people like that lady that my brother pulled out that house that had all that, she's gonna always remember him. She's gonna always remember him. The family member, she reached out to my brother Ted or Dr. Ted on Facebook just to give him, you know, the glorious story that, you know, what happened after the fact. Like, he probably was like, oh my God, I wonder what happened. And here it is, he saved the brother. He saved the life that was actually able to graduate from high school. And she was able to leave her hands. Like, so we take so much. I said all this to say, we take so much of God. So I'm a God-fearing woman. We take so many of our abilities, so many things for granted. Like, tomorrow was not promised. I never knew that we'd be forced inside. As much as I love being outside with West Winds and shutting blocks down, and I don't care if it's 2 of us out there in the rain, so we're going to be outside, like, you know, letting the hear our car horn pump, but things have changed. Like, we take so much for granted. Like, I wish that it wasn't no pandemic going on, that COVID-19 wasn't in existence. A lot of people still dying and struggling and fighting that. So as you see, it's a struggle on top of the struggle. But at the end of the day, as long as we support each other, and that's through love, you know what I mean? That's through respect, through decency, through loyalty. I know that we can pull through this, and maybe our babies don't ever have to go through what we want. That's the type of world I'm going to live in. So I just want to thank you. And I don't know if Brother Brian is still on. He still hasn't said, let's see, always lead out. Is Brother Brian on?
Yeah, I'm here. I do not have the list this week. The source that I usually get that list from didn't send it to me. So I just, you know, I'll probably have more people next week. I just ask that we all, you know, kind of keep focused on the struggle against all forms of violence and all forms of authority in this society. But right today, I can't tell you who the victims are, and but we all know they're out there, and you know, we all probably their names.
Thank you. And then I also want to give a big shout out to my brother Mickey. Mickey also puts together all these videos, and a big shout out to Ben, because Ben was real sick last week, and he still got up here thick as the dug, and he still did West Wing. So I hope he's recovering really good. He's looking really well. I'm starting to see his like glow. He's like 99 point something back again. So I'm glad he's doing better. And I'm just glad that we are human beings. And I want to thank everybody for showing me birthday love yesterday. Like, that just meant the world to me, just to get so much of love. And I just love you guys. That's all I wanted to say. Like, live to love, love to live. I love you all. Do anybody want to make any announcements before we wrap this up with my brother's video?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Wanda, I have the list of people who've been killed recently by police, if you'd like me to go through.
Absolutely. So what we're going to do is similar to what we do with Brother Brian. Uncle Bill is going to read the list. We're going to do a mic check, say their names, right? And then, okay.
Yeah, so
Go ahead.
Is that video playing?
No.
No, it's not playing. It's probably, we didn't give you after doing
Oh, okay, my fault. I thought the video was playing.
No.
So in the week from August the 2nd to August the 8th, which is the most recent list of people killed by police, there are 15 people that lost their lives in that way due to police violence. I'll say the age and the state and then the name last, and if people would like to raise the name and say that after I speak, that'd be great. The first person from North Carolina, 38 years old, Christopher Kimmons Craven.
Christopher Kimmons Craven.
Second person from Utah, 17 years old, Cyrus Carpenter.
Cyrus Carpenter.
Next person from Florida, 63 years old, Adrian Stevenson.
Adrian Stevenson.
Next from Utah also, 30 years old, Andrew Gwynn.
Andrew Gwynn.
From Ohio, 44 years old, David Lee Rigg.
David Lee Rigg.
Which state is IA? Is that Iowa?
Indiana.
Indiana, thank you. 38 years old, Melissa Holder. From South Carolina, 67 years old, Christopher Long.
Christopher Lawrence.
From Texas, 29 years old, Roberto Hernandez. From state of Washington, 36-year-old, David James Pruitt. From Florida, 55 years old, Jeffrey Hartma. And then there are 5 unidentified people, or not identified yet, from New Jersey, California, another from California, Wisconsin, and Oklahoma. And so when we think about George Floyd, when we think about Tyrone West, unfortunately, that's the tip of the iceberg. Most of the horrendous killing by police is the rest of the iceberg, much larger, but unseen, like an iceberg under the water. And any system that week after week after week continues this racist killing doesn't deserve to exist. We need to get rid of this system, something other than capitalism.
Well, thank you, Uncle Bill. So I just want to thank again all my guests. I want to thank all my heroes. And again, just like my brother Ben said, we have to take care of each other. Make sure you guys take care of yourselves. Make sure you seek counseling. Make sure you seek people to talk to. Do not hold it in. That's to let y'all know my brother was killed. The Burton's house changed my life forever. They taught me how to deal with, basically my new life. They said my old life was over on July the 18th, 2013, which it was. They said, I won't be able to ever get that back. We're just kind of moving forward and healing. So I pray that you guys sleep good tonight and from this day forward. And I just pray that you guys just keep on doing what y'all doing. And I pray that everybody that's watching this, the same way these heroes went into action, guess what? You can do the same thing. We've seen so many times women or men or anybody, we see human beings broke down in the middle of the street, like needing gas or anything, just anything wrong with their vehicle type of thing. People will just ride past them, won't even ask them if they're okay. We should never get to the point that we're that cold as this world that we live in. We should never get to that point. It's just, that's not living. Life to me is loving, and life to me is living. And that's not living if you can just be so mean and so cold-hearted. So I just thank these heroes again, and I believe that that type of spirit that these heroes have existed today and from this day forward and even the days that they did some horrific things, I want them to always know that they will forever be seen in my eyes as heroes, nothing less. So that's what heroes do. And that's what saving a person's life is seeing it. And you can actually save a person's life by just saying something big. You don't know somebody's so stressed out, it could be the point that they're ready to commit suicide. They feel like the whole world is beating down on. Sometimes you can feel like you're on top of the world and everything is going good, but then in 20 seconds, you can feel like the world is on top of you. And all you need is a word of encouragement or somebody just to look up to. So if you can't say something nice, like my mother always told me, don't say anything. Be a different, be a change maker, just like you here on tonight. So then I want to thank you. And you also, you guys, when Mickey shares these videos, all we ask you to do is share. Because guess what? It's important that they see, and he's gonna make little short clips of us, right? It's not gonna be like a whole uncut, then there's a whole uncut, everything. What's gonna happen, each speaker, Mickey is gonna actually take his time and break down each one of you guys' speeches tonight and share it with me, and I will definitely make sure I share it with you, make sure you share it with the world. So live to love, love to live. Thank you all for my birthday wishes. Thank you, Gretchen, for making my day. I came home, she had a beautiful shirt that I'm going to be wearing tomorrow to work. And thank you, Hillary, for the brownies and the masks. Thank you guys for all your kindness. Thank you so much. Thank you, each and every one of you, for tuning in tonight. Because I know y'all could have been doing anything in this pandemic, for being here, tuned in. So just thank you guys. Thank all of my special guests. I love you all. Live to love. So my brother, this is my brother Dean video. When I saw it the other morning, I'm like, oh my God, that's my friend, that's my friend. And I was just so intrigued, not that he was my friend, but just what he did, the things that he did, actually, he went to action to save a life. So thank you, save lives, not a life. He put his life on the line to save lives. So that's what living is about, saving someone else. Thank you. Love you all. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Yeah, so we're on the other side of the street from our last report right now. I want to bring in Dean Jones, who's a neighbor here in the neighborhood. Dean, first off, I'm so sorry to hear what you've gone through this morning. Can you describe to our viewers what you heard and what you saw?
Just like, it was catastrophic. It was like a bomb. Like, you watch things like in other countries where they have like bombings and things like that. It was like watching it in real life. I mean, telephone poles split. I mean, houses down the block, broken glass. Like, when I initially got there, I could hear a voice just saying help. It's crazy. Like, it's something that I don't ever want to see ever again. I don't want to relive it ever again.
Dean, I know you did all you could. Can you describe the moments from when you heard what happened to when you saw what happened to what drove you to go down to the scene?
I'm gonna be honest, I was on the porch and it shook the house. Two blocks across, 2 blocks over, so basically 4 blocks. And I took off running. And I had no shoes. Somebody had to bring me my shoes. I took off running down the street. Neighbors were looking at me like I was kind of crazy, like, what is going on? Where is it? Where is it? So once I got to the alley, I could see the smoke, and I just took off, and a couple other neighbors joined with me. And I was just like, let's just see if there's anybody in here. And we started calling out, is anybody in there? Is anybody in there? And I could hear like a voice, like, help, help. So we just started digging in, moving bricks. I mean, everything, all kinds of debris, like parts of the fence, like, we weren't even thinking. Like, it just, you know, you can hear gas, like, in the background. It's crazy.